Joining us for the interview tonight is the one and only Michael Moore. Michael Moore has a new book out called Here Comes Trouble, Stories from My Life. Michael, it's great to see you. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me on, Rachel.
All right, you have been saying President Obama does not fight hard enough for what he believes in. You have been making this case for a long time, more, I think, since earlier than a lot of other people were making it. When I heard the speech today, I was really happy I was having you on the show. I wanted to know if you feel better about his tone these days.
I felt instantly better. And, see, it doesn't take much for me. That's another good thing about liberals. That's just how easy we are. You know, just a little. Your reference to us as being treated sometimes by the mainstream media as extraterrestrials. Well, you put a few of those Reese's Pieces out in front of us, and we got a whole bag of Reese's Pieces today. By the way, the American public loves E.T. So as beloved as E.T. is, I think that the American public is actually, as you've pointed out many times on this show, much more liberal than the Beltway pundits give America credit for being. When you look at the actual issues, the American public takes the liberal position on the majority of them, whether it's being against the war, whether it's equal rights for women, whether it's strong environmental laws. And last month's poll, for the first time ever, 54% of Americans saying that they believe gay marriage should be the law of the land. So Americans are actually quite liberal, even though they may not call themselves that. And I think what happened today was exactly what we've been wanting President Obama to do. And he has to do more of it. He's the problem with the base, with you mentioned Move On, not knowing what to do next year. In the end, the people who are members of Move On, the Michael Moores out there, we're going to vote for Barack Obama. That really, his problem isn't me or Move On so much as it is all the people who voted for him in 2008 who may vote for him again. They probably won't vote for the Republican, but they're not going to go out and bring 10 people to the polls with them. They're not going to be excited about voting again, and that's where it could really hurt him. So this thing that happened today is very exciting, and to have him just repeat over and over again, I will refuse to let these Bush tax cuts for the rich continue. I will refuse to rebuild this country on the backs of the poor and the middle class. That is music to my ears. We should have heard this from day one. I'll take it on day 900 if that's when I get it.
You know, in reading your book about, which is called Here Comes Trouble, it's sort of an autobiography, but it is also sort of a political autobiography. You write about your values being, your liberal values, your confrontational Michael Moore liberal values really being an American inheritance, being something that you learned in a mainstream way. But then the book is also a story about your life of tough confrontation, trying to live your values, trying to make the world accord to what you think is right and what you think is just. And so I wonder if in that, if feeling like you've got mainstream values, but getting justice means confrontation, I wonder if you identify somewhat with the Democrats who you criticize for not fighting hard enough.
Well, I understand their pain. I understand that the difficult road that they're on. I really understand the difficult road Obama has been on because he inherited an incredible mess, the likes of which I don't know any other president that's inherited a mess like this. So he has, I think in his own mind, tried to do the best that he can do. What I wish that he would have done is to come in more with the resolve of understanding, as you said earlier in the show, that he won by 10 million votes, 3 times the difference of Bush over Kerry in 2004. That was a huge mandate, and he didn't understand the mandate very well. The confrontation, though, you know, I'm actually, I mean, you know me a little bit. I mean, we're not, you know, we don't go out and drink, but...
we ought to.
If you'll bring Kent Jones along.
All right, fair enough. Date done.
But I'm not really that I mean, I'm not. I'm not inclined to just automatically want to be confrontational or just, take this position. I actually admired Obama holding out the olive branch when he first came into office to the Republicans. I thought, wow, that's the way I was raised, and I don't know whether I could do that after 8 years of Bush, the way that he did that to the Republicans, turning the other cheek, loving your enemy, doing good to those who persecute you, all those lessons that the nuns and the priests drilled into our heads, and he was doing it, and I thought, geez, he's a better man than I. But after they whacked the olive branch out of his hand so many times, it's kind of like, okay, I think we get the message here. They're going to ignore you, and they're going to try and stop you, and you have to at some point stand up. And I mean, the lesson I've learned as a teenager, and I tell this one story in the book of being silent, actually, when I saw some injustice going on in my high school against another student, and I said nothing, and I just really felt bad, and it just weighed heavily on my conscience, and I decided after that, that's it, I'm not going to remain silent again, even though I'd rather remain silent and just sit in my chair with a bag of Doritos and watch the Tigers or the Lions. But I just couldn't do that, and my conscience wasn't wired that way. And I think I'm not alone in that. I think there's tens of millions of Americans that are just like that too, and they just don't have the benefit maybe of being on TV or whatever. But I know that they're out there. The internet certainly proves that they are.
Michael Moore's new book is called Here Comes Trouble, Stories from My Life. Michael, there's a story today out of Michigan politics, out of Benton Harbor, Michigan, that I saved till this point in the show because I really want to get your take on it, as well as what's going on with Republican presidential candidates. Can you hold on one second?
Absolutely, yes.
Good. We will be back with Michael Moore in just one moment.